conference agenda. Roll call.
Freeholders, Actor. Bartlett.
Here.
Best.
Here.
Duffy.
Here.
Lepore.
Here.
Deputy Director James. Director Lazare.
Here. Administrative report.
Thank you, Director. First on the agenda, we have a proclamation that will be read by Freeholder Best, designating the week of May 7th to May 13th as Corrections Officers Week in Passaic County, recognizing the many contributions of our corrections officers. I know we have our great sheriff here today, Sheriff Burdick. Why don't you come up to the podium? I know we have the warden, the deputy warden. I know we have PPA President, SOA President Rick Rosario. Rank and file John Welsh is here as well. So why don't you all join Freeholder Best at the podium.
I kind of make you a little nervous around all of these cops here. You gotta, Good evening, everyone. So as I am being prepared to be assaulted by many police officers, the week of May 7th through 13th nationally is Corrections Officers Week. And for some reason, we just found out that there was actually a National Corrections Officers Week. Since I've been a freeholder, at least over the course of the last 5 years, I've had the great fortune and privilege to work with our sheriff and our warden and some of the most dedicated law enforcement officials that you will find anywhere in the entire country. These brave men and women put on this wonderful uniform that you see, and they go into some of the hardest conditions, not knowing whether or not they're going to make it home in the evening. And this proclamation that we're getting ready to present is just a very small token to show our gratitude and appreciation for all of the wonderful work that they do for us here in the County of Passaic. So I'm going to read the proclamation. Whereas the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Passaic is aware that National Corrections Officers Week is celebrated during the first week of May each year, and at this time, the Board deems it fitting and appropriate to recognize the 315 corrections officers at the Passaic County Jail. And whereas corrections staff ensures the custody of inmates while in the facility and while on transport outside of the facility, they are responsible for the monitoring of individuals placed on alternative sanctions, such as ankle bracelets, and the supervision of continuous sanctions and repairs to the facility, ensuring the safe and sanitary environment for both staff and inmates. And whereas the Passaic County Jail provides mentoring programs to assist both sentenced inmates and non-sentenced inmates, such as the Passaic County Reentry Program and the Pathfinder Program, and the GED program for inmates while in custody. And whereas corrections officers, in conjunction with the PBA Local 197, participates in many outreach events to give back to the community, including an annual Christmas toy drive for local schools, breakfast with Santa program, a 5K run for various charities, the Special Olympics event, holiday, Halloween trunk or treat, and a No Shave November fundraiser, which I am still participating in. Whereas the corrections officers are trained law enforcement professionals dedicated to maintaining safe correctional facilities and ensuring the public safety, and they have the difficult and often dangerous assignment of ensuring the custody, safety, and well-being of inmates in our jail. And whereas corrections officers are essential to the day-to-day operation of the jail, and without them, it will be impossible to achieve the foremost institutional goals of security and control. And whereas this board would like to express its gratitude and appreciation to all corrections officers within the County of Passaic for an outstanding job that they do in the performance of their duties. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Passaic that it hereby designates the week of May 7th through 13th, 2017 as Corrections Officers Week in Passaic County in recognition of the many contributions made by corrections officers in the County of Passaic, signed by all 7 freeholders.
I'd like to start out by first and foremost thanking, of course, the freeholders, our business administrator, for this great honor. It's nice to be acknowledged, and I have to say how proud I am of the men and women in our corrections division. They do an outstanding job each and every day. Not an easy job, but a job that, again, deserves accolades, and this is their week for those accolades. I'm very proud of the accomplishments of the jail. In the last 20 years, they have received 100% compliance, and that's because of the outstanding work that the administrators and the officers have done on a daily basis. So I congratulate each and every one of you. I'm proud of you, and keep up the great work. Thank you. Warden.
I'd like to thank Sheriff Burdick. You know, without his support and guidance, you know, we couldn't be as successful as we've been in the past 7 years. I'd also like to thank the Freeholder Board for recognizing the officers. You know, the jail is a city within a city, and a lot of, you know, a lot goes on behind closed walls, and it's very nice to be appreciated for what we do. Thank you.
On behalf of the local PBA 197, I'd like to thank all the freeholders. I'm very humbled to get this award. I've been with the department for 22 years, and this is the first time I'm actually seeing something like this done, and it really goes a long way. I really appreciate the thought behind this, and I'd like to give the respect to the officers back at work. Without them, we could have never got this award, and they really did hard work, dedication, and a lot of times people don't realize this, but we're away from our families consistently, whether it's on duty or off duty, participating in the inner cities, and giving back to the community. I'd like to thank the administration, the warden, deputy warden, the whole administration, and I'd like to thank mostly our sheriff for supporting us. We may not always agree, but at the end of the day, he has our back. And, thank you.
It's very tough to go after the sheriff and the warden. Well, you heard it. It's a tough job. 26 years later, we actually spend a third of our day here, which is actually a third of our life inside those jail walls, and we deal with a lot of different things. So from the Freeholder Board, thank you. Our sheriff, warden, deputy warden, especially the men and women back at home, back at work, who allow us to do our jobs every day, do it well, and allow us to go home and be with our loved ones. So it's a tough job. Somebody has to do it. We're here to do it, and we hope to continue to be able to do it every day. Thank you.
Director, at the request of the board, you had asked that my office put together a presentation on the improvements that are scheduled to be made at Rifle Camp Park. I have my deputy county administrator and our parks director here today. We put together a presentation to talk about what some of the improvements in Phase 1 as well as Phase 2 will include. A short presentation, and certainly we could answer your questions at the end of the presentation if you like. Matt Jordan, Darrell Sparta, thank you very much. Mr. Rimhoff is going to be controller of the slides.
So, freeholders, as the administrator said,
Speak up, please, just so that your voice carries to those in the audience.
our office was requested to put together a presentation on the improvements we're going to import through this analysis of we can take it a minute to just discuss what we're doing about all the
We can't hear.
We're getting the microphone.
Put the mic close to your mouth.
So we thought it prudent to discuss, is that better?
Yeah.
We thought it prudent to discuss not just the Frisbee Disc proposal, but all the improvements that we're doing at Rifle Camp Park. So you all have these presentations that you can follow along. So all of our decisions made in the park system are guided by our Passaic County Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Master Plan, which this board adopted in July 2014. It provides detailed information on the inventory of our park, and then acts as a guiding document for future improvements in the park. So just some progress to date. We've seen a rehabilitation administrator, correct me if I'm wrong, $5 million at Alphabet Park. We've restored the dimension in the Creekers Valley Park. We've done a lot of improvements at the Creekers Valley Golf Course. Phase 1 of Weaselbrook Park is just being completed. Phase 2 is under design. Phase 1 Garrett Mountain Reservation Improvement Project is hopefully going out to bid this summer. We've restored the Lambert Tower in the Garrett Mountain. It's now working for the first time since 1977. We've invested a lot of money up county at what was formerly known as the Sandcat Park, now known as the Highlands Preserve. Restoring trails, doing some improvements to athletic fields. As you know, we received a $5 million grant to develop a new park in the city of Passaic on the riverfront. With a $5 million match from this board, so that'll be a $10 million improvement project in the city of Passaic. And we also have plans to restore a future tourist site in the park system, the Red House in Vancouver. So that's just some background for how we use the master plan to guide future investment in the park system. So, speaking specifically to Rifle Camp Park, in the open space master plan, it talks about key things, including signage and visibility, repaving roadways, developing wayfinding, which we're doing as a separate project for the entire park system, repairing the fitness course, restoring the amphitheater, replacing and improving lighting, providing a spray park amenity, and renovating the nature center, and developing a new playground and open space. So these are just some of the suggestions that were in the master plan that we use as a baseline for future improvements. So just some background on Rifle Camp Park. It's a 169-acre park located in Woodland Park. It has a mix of active and passive recreation, includes trails, park course, overnight camping areas, an amphitheater, and like I said, a nature center. So last year, the board approved a contract to Remington and Burning, an engineering firm, for design and exploration of the following activities: the development of a basketball course, fixing the exercise equipment, installing new playground equipment, removing the existing toboggan run. There used to be a toboggan run, it's in a state of disrepair. Exploring ice skating on the pond up there, exploring a 5K race loop. As you know, there's a lot of cross-country races in Garrett Mountain, and the Garrett Mountain sees a lot of activity. So one of the things we're trying to explore is how we can get more people into Rifle Camp Park, which is right next door. Exploring cross-country skiing, and then developing the scenic views. It's actually a better view of New York City from Rifle Camp Park than from Garrett Mountain. You get a 270 view from the Tappan Zee Bridge all the way to the Verrazano Narrow Bridge. And then exploring dog park and other recreational activities. So just the Friends of Passaic County Parks it's a nonprofit foundation created by this board in 2008 to, among other things, govern the parks, apply for grant opportunities that the county otherwise wouldn't be eligible for, and to be a partner in executing infrastructure projects. So it's a way of trying to bring in private investment into the park system. The relationship between the board and the Friends is governed by an MOU that this board and the Board of Trustees of the Parks passed in 2016. It essentially says that we work together in our park system. The Friends host the annual Passaic County Fair, as you know, which raised over $100,000 last year to do these types of investments in the park system. In 2017, we have a new array of program extended, including movies in the park and a summer concert series, one of which will be So now getting to Frisbee disc golf and the genesis of this grant application by the nonprofit. So in 2016, we had some calls from the Parks Department asking about Frisbee golf and whether this type of recreational activity was offered in our park systems. It wasn't at the time, but our park director to my right met up with these individuals and started exploring if this was something that was feasible in any of our parks because it was interesting. After exploring a few different sites, Rifle Camp Park was a spot that they landed on as somewhere where this could work and where an exciting course would be developed. Thereafter, we applied, the friends applied to the Horizon Foundation for a $20,000 grant, which was awarded later in 2016. Earlier this year, January 2017, Darrell and I met with the Friends of Garrett Mountain Reservation to discuss both the Frisbee disc golf course and the other improvements that we're talking about. Throughout the entirety of the project, the Friends and the Park Department have been working in conjunction with the county's retained NJDP certified forester to ensure that there is no detrimental impact on the ecosystem of the Camp Park. And although there are tree removals slated with the course, the forester has informed us that because there are so many small saplings in Rifle Camp Forest, or in Rifle Camp Park, that we're all competing for sunlight and nourishment, which is actually detrimental to the long-term health. Having too many small trees can actually be damaging. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that.
In most of the areas where the tree removal will take place, we've seen some pictures I think from background last time. It's so densely populated with these saplings that you can't even walk through the square or sideways to get through. And nature has a way of thinning the forest out naturally. There's competition for sunlight, there's competition for nutrients. So a lot of these trees, the majority of them that we're looking to remove would ultimately not survive anymore.
So the next slide is showing where the holes would be located. There would actually be all that's being installed is small baskets that you actually throw the Frisbees into. So that's just bigger edification on where exactly to be located. Also, interspersed in that photo is sort of some ideas we have for where other amenities would be located. So just a few of the conclusions from the county's forester that I'd like to highlight. Again, the tree removal, some of those trees would be lost regardless because of competition for and sunlight. Removal of those trees would be beneficial in the long run for the long-term health of the forest. He conducted personally some site visits for some other Frisbee disc golf courses in West Milford, and he didn't observe any abnormal damage to the soil or to the ground. And we designed the course in conjunction with the forester to limit any detrimental effects directly. And then I would just also like to highlight that we have had initial contacts with greenmakers who relayed to us that Frisbee golf is an allowable amenity in funded and unfunded parkland. And we're still confirmed with legal counsel on whether this project would trigger a change in use, which would create some green acres regulations that we would have to abide by, which, like with every project, we're trying to do, obviously. And then I just highlight that Frisbee golf, like most activities in the Passaic County Park system, will be regulated, it will be permitted. Large groups or associations, open to our improvements or things like that. We'll have to pay fees, it will be regulated. We'll have a presence there to ensure that there are detrimental effects to the camp park. And if our opinion, after consulting with the forester, a tour demand or group is too much, we're going to deny the permit to protect the recreation park. And then the last slide is sort of looking into the future. Phase 2 improvements include the potential rehabilitation of the environmental center at Redwood Camp Park. We have preliminary discussions with Passaic County Community College to do a partnership where we can run an environmental center. We have labs, teaching classrooms, and ECCC running their environmental science program out of this new facility. So this is looking to the future at phase 2. So if anyone has any questions?
Bill, has any questions?
Well, I have a question. You mentioned that the help of the trees, there was some cleaning in the areas that the Frisbee top was scheduled to go. If you were going to put up the Frisbee top, would you still put out the trees for the help of the location?
If we had the resources to do that, we certainly would. It just happens that doing this project, part of the process would be in those areas. But if we had the resources to go in under the direction of our forester, selectively thin out the trees that need to be thinned, we certainly would do that. And that would be part of his, we, as you know, are in the process of developing a forest management plan in the Passaic County. The first 5 years of the plan doesn't cover that type of process because it's something that can be done later on. But it certainly would be part of a town forest management plan.
Would it be not unlike what we did in Garrett Mountain, we cleared tremendous area of fallen trees, dead trees, damaged trees, and areas that would promote growth. We did that. Now, we did get quite a bit of money for that, but you understand having the resources. But I think overall, forestry manager should include taking care of areas that would promote growth. Because there's a lot of trees in that rifle camp that are not in great shape. After years of suffering, we get the nature take its course, or nature its course, especially with windstorms, huge amount of trees that are down, that I think pose a danger to the park user, wildlife, things of that nature. So that's something that we really need to include in our plans, which I'm sure you will.
Well, freeholder, I would say that, as you know, we are bound by budgetary constraints, and we've been very efficient with our funds that we undertake to fully balance where we're going to invest money and where we're going to plan for the future. Where we had invested in our open space trust money, our open space trust budget monies to address those types of issues. The other thing I'd like to emphasize is that our forester will tell you that the biggest threat to the ecosystem in any of our parks, but Rifle Camp and Garrett Mountain especially, is deer. We have taken proactive steps to try and address that through the neighbor's application or our requesting funding for deer events that we have at Asheville Reserve. We've seen it's had a great impact on growing the undergrowth. So we are looking at ways to
So, two things, really quick. When we did the Garrett Mountain tree removal program for down trees, that was actually a multi-year process. And I think we spent close to, if not over, $100,000 in road. Yeah, so it was a pretty substantial, that might have just been the 1 year we did. It was a pretty substantial investment. And we felt the need to do that because of the many storms that we had that weren't addressed. You know, the Superstorm Sandy,
Hurricane Irene, tons of very mature old trees just down and also leaning on healthy trees that, had we not removed it, would have, damaged those trees as well. And it was a very substantial investment that we made. That's when we decided at that point to go ahead with this full forestry plan for the entire county of Passaic. Obviously, Rafferty Park was the next on the list. So in terms of what Freeholder before was saying about wanting to do this process, we needed to do it anyway. And currently, we don't have that type of money to do it. So any way we can leverage outside resources or outside money is always positive for us to do. In terms of the overall plan of Rafferty Park, I'm supportive of the overall plan. It is going to bring more people there. It is going to increase higher density, but it's also going to be able to accommodate much more Passaic County residents as well as residents throughout the region who appreciate different types of aspects of our park activities, not just the nature trails, but the other aspects that we have to benefit as well. The last thing that I'm going to say about the disc golf course is that it's not a very intrusive project. It's the equivalent of a garbage can. Multiple garbage cans spread out through acres of land. And if we find within 2 years, 3 years, that is doing any damage to the park, it's not hard to remove it. It's a very simple process. We go with a chainsaw, we cut it down, and we recycle we recycle them or donate them to somebody else. So I think the fact that to have this resource available for county residents that is not going to cost us much money to install at all. So obviously we have a grant to put this in. And it doesn't have an impact overall on the other services that we want to provide in the park. I think it's a smart move to actually do it. And as I said, if over the course of time, doesn't even have to be a long period of time, if we find out that there is a detrimental effect to the park, we can take it down. This is not a big structure. It's again, it's an equivalent of a garbage can spread out through acres of land. So I'm in favor of moving forward. The other thing I highlighted is Bourbon County has a pretty golf course that I can't call it Malwa, Ocean County. So I think there's a Ocean County has a disc golf course there. I know there's a disc golf course in State Park, New Jersey. So this isn't, we're not uncharted territory. This is something that exists in this type of environment.
Start with a question about that and then follow up. Do we have any feedback from Bourbon County on their experience with their disc golf course? I know the Capstar is a much larger park. What is the experience of their disc golf course, and what else is it that they through the services and amenities there?
I myself have not. Ron, our forester, did visit Campbell. I've spent quite a bit of time out there, and I don't know that he's spoke to anyone from Bourbon County, but his feedback after spending time there was that he did not notice any damage to any trees, and that he did not notice any more impact on the land other than what a hiking trail itself would create.
I appreciate the point that we have made both about leveraging resources and providing diversifying activities and opportunities in the parks, and also the fact that if A, it's unsuccessful or it turns out to be damaging, we can remove it, and B, that, as you pointed out, when we're talking about large groups, we're talking about a permitting process, which I think I want to ask you a question about. But first, I'm neither a golfer nor a disc golfer, and I'm looking at the map and how each of these holes is laid out. They're all off of the existing trail. For want of a more complex question, what does this look like? So we've got a black line that leads to a little circle, which ultimately is the post and the goal for each hole. Is each of those black lines represent sort of cleared out fairway, or is it just the recommended path or the required path for the competitive golfer to use? What does that actually look like when I go off the trail down to hole number, whatever it is? What does that look like?
I would equate it to a fairway on a golf course, and our course will work with both our designer of the course to identify areas where there would be the least amount of impact. So, and we wanted to keep them away from the trails to respect that. That's how the layout is.
And how wide of a fairway is that? And are we merely removing trees, or are we doing anything else in terms of either leveling or grass or gravel or what have you?
The fairways themselves will just be tree removal, no leveling. That will be placed, the teeing areas will be leveled. And the fairways, as far as width, it varies. It's not really the equivalent of a golf fairway. It's more of a line of a recommended line of play. So there are trees. The trees are obstacles that we play around. So it's not like a fairway that's 300 yards by 50, 60 yards, more of a path.
Sounds like a place I should play regular golf at.
If I could just, say one thing, I know people have strong opinions, maybe think that this board isn't sensitive to that type of stuff, and trees and the environment. This county never had a forest management plan. This board was proactive in creating such a plan because we recognize the importance of it. Last year, and it's going to continue this year with the ash disease, we spent more money trying to save ash trees when it would have really been less expensive to just take them down. But again, recognizing the importance of that, this board made the decision, particularly in Gothenburg Park, to treat those trees. And we've been successful so far. We're not out of the woods yet, and we'll determine whether or not we were able to save all of them that we treated. But I just wanted to be clear that this board has a history and a record on being environmentally sensitive. I don't think there's a county in the state that has preserved more open space than this board, particularly when it comes to Up County and even Down County. So, I understand and I respect that people have opinions, but the facts are the facts. So I'll leave it at that, Director, but I just wanted to be clear that this board is always sensitive to stuff like that, and will always continue to be sensitive to stuff like that. Thank you.
We will now, thank you both very much, appreciate it. Thanks. We have a public hearing regarding the Highland Trail feasibility study, proposed as an additional element to our Passaic County program. I believe we have Jason Simmons.
You guys like this board facing pre-order? I guess this is how
You can kind of do it so everybody could see it.
Feasibility study proposed as an additional element of the county master plan. So, public notice was advertised in both the Herald and the Record.
We just need to officially. We'll do the public.
Okay, great. Yeah, okay. All right, so as I said, my name is Jason Simmons. I'm the professional planner for the planning department. Peter Bond, our Associates,
microphone there, or you can use the podium.
I'd like to be able to see everything.
Yeah, we need a microphone. That's where it works.
The feasibility team included myself, associates from T&M, and other planning staff. Just to go over a couple items of what we're going to look at this evening is the project goals for the study, the vision, a little bit of the history of the Highland Trail, which was the former New York and Greenwood Lake rail line. We'll touch on the public outreach that's been conducted up to this point. We'll look at the preliminary trail route and some alternative options for that. Some general features of the rail trail that we've identified through the public planning process, and then we'll touch a little bit on the next steps in implementation. So, when the county undertook the transportation element and the heritage and tourism element of the master plan, we identified a series of pedestrian and bicycle corridors, and which spurred this study of the Highland Trail. And we modeled it after the Morris Canal Greenway feasibility study because it had been so successful with the public outreach component and with future implementation projects. The goals of the study are kind of broad, but that was, it's a feasibility study, so it's a higher level kind of planning document. But we wanted to foremost develop and identify a pedestrian and bicycle friendly trail network that would eventually connect the upper portions of the county with the lower portions of the county. And we also wanted to enhance connections between existing facilities, parks, neighborhoods, commercial centers, and be an economic driver for the communities that we're looking for the trail to go through. We also wanted to promote the cultural and heritage tourism aspect of it because it is on a historic rail line, a former rail line, right? For the scope of the project, we wanted to establish a vision, review the existing conditions, develop the preferred alignment of the trail based on those findings, and then identify some of the opportunities and constraints of the trail for implementation and obstacles that the community have identified. And then lastly, with any good plan, we want to find the opportunities to actually implement outcomes. Just to touch on the history component of it, because it is an important aspect of it, similar to our Morris Canal Greenway. The Erie and New York, the Erie Railroad Company bought it out later in its history, but it used to transport ice and tourists primarily up into West Milford and Greenwood Lake. It also served as some freight industry for Peter Line. And it ran up until 1943 before it was abandoned. The vision for the trail is, again, sort of on larger level because of the nature of the study, but it reinforces the goals. It's connecting upper and lower portions of the county, creating safe, accessible bike and pedestrian routes, which would include signage and wayfinding so people can navigate through the community easily, getting to the commercial centers, to the public centers, libraries, borough halls, things of that nature, existing open space. And then, we wanted to try to identify some standard furniture, lighting, benches, bike racks, things of that nature that could be, when we get to the implementation phase, we have identified preferences for those. The public outreach has really kind of started in July of 2016 with our initial meeting with stakeholders. We've identified over 70 that we've been communicating with throughout the last year and a half. Ranges from bike advocates to municipal officials, environmental commissions, our funding partners at DOT and JTPA and others. We've done online surveys. We had a hike for 2 sections of the Greenway, or for the rail trail through Wanacue. We did that in September. And then we had a public open house that was very well attended in November. So on the first map, you can just kind of get a sense of where we're at with the trail, overall trail. Begins from Pompton Lakes, runs through Ringwood, and ultimately will go to West Milford. We've broken it down into 5 segments. Each segment is very distinct, and there's no real order per se as far as implementation goes, but they're all very distinct, and they were able to be classified. We focused on the first 3 sections because we thought that based on the resources we had, they were the most likely to be implemented and more complex in some regards. Each one is around 2 miles, almost 3 miles, and most of the property that the proposed trail will go through is owned by the North Jersey District Water Supply Commission. So when we're looking at these type of projects, we look at the surrounding land use so that we can identify adjoining assets, the library, the schools, commercial centers, and connectivity of what the trail would serve as. And then we also look at obstacles. So for the first section of the trail, some of the obstacles include narrow roadway crossing at Dottie Road, the crossing at Ringwood Avenue, and a couple other environmental features. Section 2, we really focused on the same thing, looking at where's the existing assets, open space, the portions of the right-of-way that were intact. And then from there, we began to investigate alternative routes around some of those obstacles. I'm just zooming in on this next one. So, for instance, on the section 2, one of the larger obstacles is crossing the Wanacue River. So this would be identified as a long-term goal of the project. And in the interim, users could use Ringwood Ave and sidewalk. Section 3 is the last one that we kind of put our efforts in. We did the same analysis, which this piece is almost entirely on the Water Commission's property and has amazing scenic views. If you haven't been through the Wanacue, you will see the reservoir. And then we've also identified the constraints. The largest constraints for this section is the width of the road for security access on the Water Commission's property. Something that they've identified as a top priority for them for homeland security purposes. So once we went through the exercise of identifying the trail, potential routing options, we wanted to evaluate what kind of features the trail would have. Would it be gravel path, paved path? What kind of signs would be on it? Would there be lights, bicycle racks, water fountains, things of that nature, art? So we kind of sourced out some of those materials and got personal preferences through our open house process, which we're actually able to identify what they like the most as far as treatments. So that kind of leads us to where we are today. We have a draft feasibility study in place. Everyone at the board should have a copy, and I also have some copies that the public can take a look at afterwards if they so choose. But moving forward from this, we need to further investigate some of the northern connections through West Milford and Ringwood, where we're in sections 4 and 5. We need to work on the right-of-way agreements with the Water Commission. We need to look for funding sources to actually do the implementation and design. And those are the primary next steps. And with that, I will leave it open for questions.
There'll be an opportunity to publish a question.
No, no question. My in-laws live near a rail and trail project in Georgia, and I know not only how much they enjoy walking it with their grandkids and nieces and nephews, but also that it really has had a positive impact on property values around it. So I appreciate that we have the opportunity to put this in our county and all the details provided.
So, again, this is a wonderful education. My eyes just automatically went to how much is it going to cost us. And the price tag is looking a little less than $5 million for the entire project. And I don't have $5 million on me right now, so I appreciate the fact that we're phasing it in various sections. I think that's more of a manageable process. But even, you know, at $1.5 million a clip is still pretty significant. So, you know, we may have to, depending on funding, availability of funding, and possibility of getting grants, scale back on some of the aspects of it, but to still keep other things, you know. So to have the trail is one thing, right? And we obviously want the trail. But then, you know, can we do without the bike racks and the lighting for now and certain other elements, since people are going to be walking it mostly in the day? Lighting is a huge expense. It's a big ticket item for this. So those are the type of things that we're going to have to figure out of how much money we have and then work backwards to see what we can actually get done for the price and still have a good product to put out.
Sure. So just with two things with that, Pete, I'll let you just give a little sense of how we came up with some of those numbers and the rationale behind it, and then I'll just touch, if there's a minute, on some of our successful funding for other trail development projects, just so we can have a little bit of a sense of comparison.
Thank you, Jason. So looking at the price tag, I know it's a large price tag right now. I mean, we try to look at the worst case scenario. If you put in everything, this is what it's going to cost. Obviously, there's, once we get into a full design of the section, we'll be able to, nail the cost down a lot better. But right then, we look at the worst case scenario of some other trails we've done in other towns and municipalities to see what, would likely be the worst case scenario as far as price. But yeah, it is a lot of price, but it is a pretty long trail right now. What was that? Excuse me? What's the length? Which section, the three sections we looked at were 2 miles, 2 miles, and about 3 miles total.
Through the chair, I sat on planning for some time, and doing the study, the previous study, when they were looking at Ringwood Ave going up from Compton Lakes all the way up to West Milford, that based an awful lot of information on that, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. Back then, what was that? Before you probably around the 40s or 50s for your year, but God willing, we get some of this project done. But that was a great idea back then. Had they implemented it back then, we wouldn't have any congestion we have now.
And that was brought up with the stakeholders when we met in Montague, the
Acquisition of land alone is going to be
right. So that was something that was brought up, and we're very sensitive to that. But in today's reality, with the breakdown of those right of ways and with the Highland Act, now we have to look at other uses. Mm-hmm. And because of the density of residential and the schools alone, we would hope to relieve some of the congestion because of the access to walking to schools and some of the neighborhood commercial districts as well. Yeah. And just to touch on the funding piece just a little bit, so we have the Morris Canal Greenway as our best comparison for funding options, and for the piece through Patterson and Clifton, we secured over $1 million in funding for that 6 miles of project route, and then we Broward Town Road, which is only less than a mile, we secured over $700,000 for that project, and then another $700,000 for the bridge project in Little Falls. Just to name 4 off the top of my head. So I think that some of these figures, they are large, but I think scaling them down and grants, and that's how we've been able to implement things. We're very successful at getting grants.
And Director, if I could, just as an update, last week, Monday, the 1st, Matthew and I met with Todd Callawire, who is the Executive Director of the North Jersey District Water, along with the Chairman of their board, Charlie Schottmeyer, along with their professional security engineers. And they were very receptive to the idea. We have sent them some of the preliminary stuff for them to look at. We're going to set up a on-site visit so that they could actually see, we could see the areas that we're talking about. But they were very open to partnering with Passaic County. We wouldn't really ask for anything more. They've been a bit more gracious. Obviously, there's still some things that we need to work out with them, but they are certainly willing to be a partner at the table. So we really couldn't ask for a better, more productive meeting. I just wanted to thank the executive director and the commissioner for that meeting.
Nice job.
Thank you. I will actually formally open up the public hearing. Right. So there will be a public hearing. The public hearing will be only for this particular project. Obviously, when we get into the regular agenda, there will be a public portion for any other topic.
All right. Announcement of the public hearing. This hearing is pursuant to NJSA 40:27-4 regarding the Highland Trail feasibility study proposed as an additional element to the Passaic County Master Plan. The following public hearing was advertised in both the Bergen Record and the Herald News on April 10th, 2017, specifying the time, date, and location of the public hearing. Roll call. Freeholders Apter, Bartlett, Best,
Yes.
Duffy,
Here.
Lepore,
Here.
Director Lazare.
Here. Have a motion to open the public hearing on the Highlands Railroad Trail.
So be it.
Duffy and Lepore. Freeholders Apter, Bartlett, Best, Duffy,
Yes.
Lepore, Deputy Director Lazare.
Yes. Does anyone have a desire to come up and speak to the Highland Railroad feasibility study?
Seeing no one at the podium, I move to close the public portion.
Freeholders Apter, Bartlett, Best, Duffy, Lepore, Director Lazare.
Yes. Have a motion to adjourn this part of the meeting.
Make that motion.
Freeholders Apter, Bartlett, Best, Duffy, Lepore, Director Lazare.
Yes. We're going to move on to the review of the agenda. Do we have any late starters?
Yes, we do.
We have resolutions, proposed resolution plate starters 050, 51, and 52. 050 is a resolution authorizing shared service agreements between Passaic County Health Department and the various municipalities for public health preparedness in response to bioterrorism outbreaks of infectious disease and other public health threats and emergencies. That is 050. 051 is a resolution to schedule a public hearing known as an application hearing to solicit comments from the public regarding County of Passaic plan to sell a parcel of county-owned open space land to the adjoining property owner at 100 Day Road in Wayne. And 052, the final late starter, is a resolution awarding a contract to Harry L. Schwartz and Company for appraisal services as it pertains to Lot 123, Lot 1 in the Borough of Woodland Park, New Jersey. That's all I have, Director, and there's no need to go in closed session, but we do need to entertain a vote to add the late starter.
Freeholders Apter, Bartlett, Best, Duffy, Lepore, Director Lazare.
Yes. We're going to move on to our regular agenda. We we have the announcement of the open public meeting law?
Ladies and gentlemen, the notice requirement of open public meetings law has been satisfied with respect to this meeting, specifying the time, date, and location, including the annual notice, adopted the reorganization meeting, filed with the county clerk, posted in the administration building, and mailed to 2 newspapers in accordance with the provisions of the law.
Roll call?
Freeholders, Apter.
Yes.
Bartlett. Here. Best.
Here.
Duffy. Here. Lepore. Here. Deputy Director James. Director Lazare.
Here. Here, please stand for the invocation.
O God, who provides for thy people by thy power and rules over them in love, be gracious enough so to bless thy servants, our freeholders in this county of Passaic, that thy people may dwell in peace and safety through our Lord. Amen.
Please join me in saluting the great flag of the world. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to do a moment of silence to remember all the men and women who served in our armed forces, but I'd also like to do a moment of silence for our Passaic County surrogate, Bernice Torito, whose father just recently passed.
Make that motion. Second.
Roll call?
Freeholders, Apter. Bartlett.
Yes.
Best.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
Lepore.
Yes.
Director Lazare.
Yes. May I have a motion to review the proclamations?
Freeholders, Apter.
Yes.
Bartlett. Yes. Best.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
Lepore.
Yes.
Director Lazare.
Yes. Motion to suspend the regular order of business? Bartlett?
Second.
Second.
Lepore, yes.
Roll call?
Freeholders, Apter.
Yes.
Bartlett.
Yes.
Best.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
Lepore.
Yes.
Director Lazare.
Yes. Okay, we're going to go to the guarantee ordinance 2017-06.
Resolution authorizing the guarantee by the County of Passaic, New Jersey, of payment of principal and of interest on the governmental loan revenue bonds, Series 2017, Passaic County Guarantee, City of Patterson project of the Passaic County Improvement Authority, aggregate principal amount not to exceed $4 million. $40 million.
Do I have a motion to open the public hearing on bond ordinance 2017-06?
So moved.
That's the report. Roll call?
Freeholders, Apter.
Yes.
Bartlett. Yes. Best.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
Lepore.
Yes.
Director Lazare.
Yes. Does anyone present desire to be heard on bond ordinance 2017-06?
Seeing no one at the podium, move to close the public hearing. Second.
Roll call?
Freeholders, Apter.
Yes.
Bartlett.
Yes.
Best.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
Lepore.
Yes.
Director Lazare.
Yes. Do I have a motion to adopt bond ordinance 2017-06?
So,
Second.
Yes. Roll call?
Freeholders, Apter.
Yes.
Bartlett. Yes. Best.
Yes.
Duffy.
Yes.
Lepore.
Yes.
Director Lazare.
Yes. A bond ordinance 2017-07.
Capital ordinance of the County of Passaic, New Jersey, authorizing the undertaking of various improvements to Garrett Mountain Reservation in and by and for the county, appropriating therefore the sum of $2,750,000 and providing that such sum appropriated shall be raised from a New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection Green Acres grant and from general capital fund balance of the county.
Do I have a motion to open the public hearing on bond ordinance 2017-06? there a second?
Freeholders, Apter. Bartlett. Best. Duffy. Lepore. Director Lazare.
Yes. Someone's present desire to be heard on bond ordinance 2017-07.
Seeing no one that's voting, I move to close the public hearing.
Freeholders, Apter. Bartlett. Best. Duffy. Lepore. Director Lazare.
Yes. Can I have a motion to adopt bond ordinance 2017-07?
Make that motion.
Freeholders, Apter. Bartlett. Best. Duffy. Lepore. Director Lazare.
Yes. Okay, can I have a motion to resume the regular order of business? Roll call.
Freeholders, Apter. Bartlett. Best. Duffy. Lepore. Director Lazare.
Yes. Freeholder reports?
Director, if I could, earlier today, we had a tremendous event over at Westside Park in Patterson. Freeholder Best is also providing a lot of leadership on this project. I know he's firmly in support, and it's another great example of our open space funds being used, I think, in a very effective way, in a very clear and specific way. There was an award made 2 years ago for a master plan to help bring back life to Westside Park, it was really a jewel of Patterson for a long time, and has really kind of fallen into a tenuous stage. I'll put it that way. And this master plan lays out a lot of different steps, and a lot of different, just like the rails to trails that we have here. It's a long process, and there's a lot of things that need to be done, and obviously all those things cost money. But without a plan, doing anything there is just doing piecemeal. With the plan, you're following the direction of what you need to do. So as we identify funding, and I believe the county will be part of that funding process, as we find funding, I think it's important. I think it's an important project, and I think it's an important piece in Patterson. And again, I'm always here to stress the importance of what government does. And in my mind, parks are at the forefront. We talk a lot about parks today. Parks are at the forefront of what is great about government, because if it wasn't for government, whether it be local, state, county, or federal, if it wasn't for government, nothing would be done to preserve these parks or to take care of them or to improve them. There's no way that private citizens could really, in most circumstances, band together to take care of a parcel of land and to improve it and to do it in a way that elicits the public's involvement. So I'm very proud of that project and the money that was spent there. And again, Freeholder Best was really the leader on that from the beginning.
I'd like to speak to the open space too. I have been on the open space committee for approximately 6 years. And time after time when I would go to meetings, one of the things foremost in my minds is protecting our open space and making it available to residents throughout the county. It's really high on our list of priorities. And we spend a lot of time with this. As you can see just from tonight, we're talking about spending $5 million on a rail trail and $2.7 million on Garrett Mountain. So our parks are in the right place. But on the other side of the coin, we have to think about our residents in this county. We have over 500,000 residents in the state county. With everybody, most people have a different interest. I mean, I know there's people who like the Passaic trails, but I also know there's people who like sports. There's kids who want to play in playgrounds. There's people who want to take their dog to the dog park. I mean, these are things that we have to think about when we think about our open space, is making sure that we align what we do in this county to please everybody. And I think that's where maybe sometimes we have to think about what can we do to help people with different interests. So I guess my point is that sometimes we need to think outside the box and think about the interests of all our residents. Thank you. Communications? None. Okay, Okay, I'd like a motion to open the public portion of the meeting. Arthur? Martha? Okay, just so you know.
Freeholders, Apter.
Roll call.
Yes. Bartlett. Yes. Best. Yes. Duffy.
Yes.
Lepore. Yes. Director Lazare.
Yes. Just so you know, when you come up to the podium, please state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes up at the podium to speak your mind and share whatever it is that you want to share with us and the public. Thank you. And sign in on it.
Good evening. I am Vera Lazar from Clifton. I'm a member of Friends of Garrett Mountain and also a member of the Clifton Environmental Commission. I'm here once again to urge you, the freeholders, to stop the installation of the disc golf course at Rifle Camp Park. Rifle Camp Park is an extremely inappropriate place to locate the disc golf course. First of all, there is very little undeveloped forest and wild areas left in this part of the state. Much of the forest and wildlife habitat has already been lost to overdevelopment. I believe it is essential to preserve and protect the remaining forest that still exists. The plan to install a disc golf course at Rifle Camp would in fact destroy the heart of the forest and impact the natural environment for years and years to come. The removal of saplings would not be thinning the forest in a beneficial way. Instead, wide swaths of young forest would be removed. It has also been said that the baskets could easily be removed. That may be true, but once the trees are gone and the ground flora eliminated and the soil resources destroyed, that will not come back easily. Rifle Camp Park is a vital part of the Garrett Mountain Important Bird Area designated by the Audubon Society. The plans to install the disc golf course would eliminate much of the important bird habitat and would have a negative impact on the entire IBA. Third, Rifle Camp Park provides passive recreation opportunities for a large number of Passaic County residents. Disc golf is not compatible with these activities. It has been stated that the course fairways do not run near the hiking trails, when in fact the course runs extremely close to the nature trails, even directly along and adjacent to these trails. It would become extremely hazardous for anybody to be walking along those trails and thereby take large areas of the park out of public use. In the presentation earlier, it was stated that the plan is currently being developed and guided by the open space plan. When in fact, the disc golf course is in complete contradiction to the plan. According to the open space plan, the main activities that county residents are looking for are opportunities for hiking and nature trails. The disc golf course will actually remove nature trails and hiking trails out of general public use. We understand that the county is wanting to encourage greater use of Rifle Camp Park to take the pressure off Garrett Mountain. And we support this goal, and we support most of the Rifle Camp improvements. However, we do believe that it should be done in a manner that does not destroy the natural environment in the process. And the disc golf course will do just that. As you can see, a picture is really worth 1,000 words, and you have the photo presentation, which shows exactly some of the environmental impacts, also the close proximity to the nature trails, as well as some of the devastating effects it has had on the park. I can't go up. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, my name is Jim Conroy. I live in Morris Plains, New Jersey. It is Morris County, but I'm here with the Passaic County group to support them. I'm a PhD plant pathologist. Okay, I worked in the chemical industry, the agricultural chemical industry for well over 30 years. Got a lot of gray hair. Okay, so I've worked with trees and plants all my life. So let me just tell you something. I want to give you just a bit of information here. First of all, trees, right underneath the bark of a tree is all the vascular tissue on a tree. Okay? If you damage that vascular tissue, you're damaging the fluid movement inside of that tree. It's a lot like pinching the veins on a person. Okay? But on a person, you know, if your veins are pinched, you can put in a sting. You can't put in a sting in a tree. So the disc golf, if you're beating on the bark of a tree, an older tree or even a younger tree, and or getting under there and beating that tissue, you are hurting that vascular tissue on the tree. You can check with any of your people. They will tell you that is basic plant physiology. Okay, the university people would support that 100%. So I am not in favor of that project. And also you're mentioning that your fairways are fairly narrow, so you have the real potential for a lot of that damage to take place. Okay, my second comment is I mentioned already I have a lot of gray hair. Young kids are the future generation. I'll tell you, all those young trees you're talking about, that's your future park. Okay, you don't want to be taking those out. You don't want to be doing it. I agree with forest, good forest planting, to thin them. I don't have a problem with that. But taking them out and clear cutting them, I definitely disagree with that. That is your future park. You don't want to be doing it. I thank you for your time.
My name is Basha Alexander Conroy, and I also live in Morris Plains, and I'm here as a representative of the institute that I have co-founded. It's the Institute for Cooperative Biobalance, and I'd like to draw your attention to the two materials that we give out with this institute. First of all, on the yellow piece, this has a list of 12 tree and plant stress factors. And number 3 says that there are human factors involved with, that stress trees with abuses like carbon. As Dr. Jim Conroy just mentioned, cutting into the vascular tissue of a tree with anything like you often see on beech trees in parks. You often see beech trees have very plain bark, and a lot of people carbon, and that definitely stresses trees. So this is an educational piece that hopefully will give you some more detail about the various kinds of stresses that trees undergo. Then the other piece is called 10 Simple Ways to be a Tree Protector. And this is one of the Institute's initiatives, is treeprotector.org. And I appreciate what the director said earlier about wanting to provide a lot of variety to the people of Passaic County. And I would just like to underline the importance of not only providing sporting events for people in the parks, but the possibility of also educational things like this little piece that teaches people to expand their own caring for trees, which really, if it weren't for trees, we wouldn't be around here. and to learn ways to protect them, both practical and emotionally satisfying ways to protect trees. So, so thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm Patty Pfeiffer. I'm from, I live on Rifle Camp Road in West Patterson. And Freeholder Lazara, I really do appreciate that you want to think of all the residents, and I do too. I don't know if you're thinking about Rifle Camp Road itself with all the tournaments that are going to be held with this disc golf thing. Right now it's 25 miles an hour on the road, and my husband has been passed on that road because he's going 25 miles an hour. I have been tailgated numerous times and beat at because I'm going 25 miles an hour. So, you know, it's going to be a hazard with all of these extra people on the road with the tournaments and all, so you really need to talk to the police about that. I think it's a great idea to have a dog park, although presently dogs aren't allowed in Rifle Camp, but, you know, they do need to go have a place, so I think that's a great idea. I'm not sure about the lake. I think you were talking about an ice skating rink somewhere along the line, because that's a small lake and it's a spring-fed lake, and that could cause a hazard. So you really need to think about that too. As far as the little trees go, it's the deer that have created this problem, and a fence is going to do nothing. The fence is going to keep the deer out, put them on the road, and have them killed by more cars. I've constantly seen dead deer all over the place. So a fence is going to do absolutely nothing for deer population. So that really is a terrible idea. Many parks have had an environmental impact assessment done, so I'm wondering if you have done that to see about the native wildflowers, because we have quite a few wildflowers that grow around there. And so with people running all over the place and into the woods where normally people wouldn't go, that's going to impact too. So that's something you might not have thought about, so that is something you really need to think about too. Thank you, that's all I have to say.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, freeholders. My name is Jennifer. I live at 37 Lennox Ave in Clifton. I'm 30 years old and I've been visiting this beautiful piece of land, Rifle Camp, my entire life. I hope to bring my children there, my grandchildren one day. Many of you may not think this park is important, but it is. It's imperative to migratory birds. I'm a birder. I go birding all the time. The migratory bugs also, which help pollinate, create the little trees that we have and the flowering plants around. It has been a pivotal role in my life. My father had a stroke 2 years ago. I lost 100 pounds walking in this park. Obviously, it's very personal to me. I tracked traces of birds here that it's historic. This park has changed my life. It may not mean much to you, but it is all home to me. I hope you take into consideration the over 850 signatures we have currently against the disc golf course. There's no reason to deforestation to make a park that possibly might not happen and we could just tear it down. Why put it in if you're already doubting it? That doesn't make sense to me. Just reconsider the damage that you're going to cause. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Paul Rusin. I live at 162 Louise Street in Clifton. And I'm an Air Force veteran, and I like to go up there and just walk around the trails to relax. It's nice to see deer and wild turkey in their own habitats, and I would not like to see them used as targets for a frisbee. Thank you.
I've been a taxpayer in Passaic County since, actually it was my birthday,
September 27th, 1969. No, that's not the year I was born, but that's the year I moved to Woodland Park. I have a slightly different twist to my opposition to the disc golf course. Yes, I do belong to environmental groups, etc., but what really rules my life is that I'm a healthcare professional. So I look at everything from those eyes. So I did, as I teach a research course, I'm retired from full-time, but I'm a researcher. So I did a little research, well, I did a lot of research on the discs and the locations and everything else. I expect my students to do it, so I do it. So I've learned a lot. No, I'm not going to read it all in my 3 minutes about types of discs and what's got sharp edges and round edges and whatever they may be. So my concern about flying discs is the impact on the trees, but more importantly, on the human beings and other animals, because human beings are animals. My other concern is that we witnessed about 30 minutes ago an outstanding presentation by the two gentlemen with the Highland Rail Trail project. I found it fascinating that they did a feasibility study. Have the freeholders done a feasibility study on the disc golf course? And if you did, has anybody ever considered placing this, we'll call it a sport, at the county golf course in Wayne? Why is that not a useful place to put it? So was there ever a needs assessment done? Where was the public outreach? I'm one of the people that have been involved in, save the reservoirs from the concrete tanks. And it's the same thing that happened there. That project was discussed about 2 years before the public found out about it. And as a person who believes, trust me, in democracy, it's not something that I do take lightly. So I am concerned about that. So the question I had, what was the impetus for this disc golf course? The money I know came from Horizon. Was the impetus an individual or a group of individuals who essentially want to build I think it was in Alaska with Senator Stevens, the bridge to nowhere. And I'm afraid that that's what may happen here. So before any money is spent, etc., let's have an honest, and it doesn't have to be as glitzy as the Highland Trails people, some kind of a feasibility study and a needs assessment that will explain to us what the benefits are. And the question I have in all research, do the benefits outweigh the risks? What are the risks to having a disc golf course? And lastly, before I get the gong here for the 3 minutes, I have tried to find out for a long time who are the members of the Friends of Passaic County Parks. I can't find it anywhere. So my good friend, well, I have a lot of good friends here, I think, on this freehold board, but I'm going to pick on Freeholder Lepore, who was going to send me that information as to who are the Friends of Passaic County Parks. Thank you. Oh, let me sign it. Sorry.
Freeholder Best doesn't get a higher chair.
Kurt Schnackenberg, 268 Washington Avenue, Clifton. Passaic County has made a lot of accommodations to allow for efficient government in our modern age. Unfortunately, not all these accommodations have resulted in a more open and accessible county administration. The Friends of Passaic County Parks appears to be an NGO, non-governmental organization, exempt from open meeting and OPRO restrictions, but composed to a large extent of Passaic County administrators themselves. What happens when friends are not friendly? When they aim to conceal actions which otherwise may be considered an official action? The Friends of Passaic County Parks are used as a tool to advance initiatives for the development of our parks, but this NGO can also be used as a vehicle to conceal projects and plans from the public. The master plan exists as a public declaration of the intent of our government for the development and maintenance of our community resources. It is simple to access and available to all. Nowhere in the master plan does it mention turning 18 acres of Rifle Camp Park into a disc golf course. The Friends of Passaic County Parks are certainly important to park maintenance and well-funded. Why is this organization being used as a vehicle for pounding pet projects on a population with little interest in disc golf? Why is the Friends of Passaic County Parks now in direct opposition to members of the Friends of Garrett Mountain Group, the Passaic and Bergen Audubon Societies, and other environmental groups? How do you find yourself in this place? I am not a lawyer, but I have friends who are. Green Acres regulations appear to require a public hearing when changing from passive to active recreation. Will we have such a hearing? Thank you.
Clifton, New Jersey. Hi, Diane Connor from Clifton, New Jersey. 76 Washington Avenue. I'm a biologist, and I work primarily with birds and mammals. And I'm going to reiterate that this is an IDA and an NL, both Rifle Camp Park and Garrett Mountain. But my question is this. We only had a forester go through there. Why is there no wildlife studies? No ornithologists, herpetologists, mammalogists, or entomologists conducted any wildlife impact studies there. I handed you guys this little packet, and this is New Jersey's Conserve Wildlife. It's a list of all the threatened and endangered animals in the state. If you turn to the back page here, now, I've seen some of these birds. A lot of these people have seen these birds. We've got red-headed woodpeckers in there. We've got barred owls in there. We've got long-eared owls in there. We've got many types of amphibians. We know there's tree frogs in there. There has been no wildlife impact studies done at all. What about that? So the only data we have to go on is the data that citizen scientists have collected, and also Audubon themselves to determine the status of the IBA. And you'll notice that they list the barred owl as periodically breeding in that habitat. You probably don't know anything about birding, although we would gladly walk you through and teach you about it. Cornell University and Audubon have eBird as a database. We have apps on our phones, and we go through birding and we record the species. Anybody can get on eBird, Cornell University website. I've also included Rifle Camp Park sightings for the red-headed woodpecker and also the Garrett Mountain Reservation. And then there's I printed out, somebody who happened to see the long-eared owl has a really good picture of the long-eared owl in there. I also attached the important the definition of what an IDA is. And I think it's important to understand something. This is really a passive versus active recreation. If you add active recreation to passive recreation, you don't have both, you have active recreation. You have a habitat or you don't have a habitat, and that includes trees in every age class. It includes the leaf litter, fallen trees, lots of you left there, rocks, the whole thing. Right now, unfortunately, the president of this country, the Congress, our governor, anti-science, anti-environment. We're counting on the local government to try to help us there. But where is the science? Where was the wildlife surveys? No ornithologists, no herpetologists. There's a disease called chytrids affecting the amphibians. We know we have amphibians there, we cure them. We're talking about there's a sensitive pond there. And you want to put an ice cube. Thank you.
My name is Maureen Madden-Lane. I actually live in Oakland, New Jersey at 188 Hiawatha Boulevard. And I have been disc golfing for 10 years, professionally for 8. I've traveled all over the world, all over the country. And I am floored by the comments. I am absolutely floored. I feel like we are a lot similar than we are different. Most disc golfers are conservationists. We love the environment. We don't want to hurt trees. We don't want to hurt saplings. I think we're a lot alike in that regard. I think there definitely needs to be some education. The discs are plastic. Yes, they hit trees, but they don't damage them. You know, I would love to see what percentage of the actual forest is going to be taken down. I would gather it's probably less than 5% of the actual trees are going to come down, and maybe another 2 to 3%. You know, get some objective data before we come to a conclusion that isn't productive. Just some other comments from what I heard. The health impacts of a Frisbee. What about the obesity epidemic? We need to get people out moving, you know, people don't get hit by Frisbees. I shouldn't say that, but I mean, anybody can get hit by a Frisbee, I guess, but we need to get more people walking. We need to get more people engaged outside. Our local club, again, I said I live in Oakland. We have a local club that supports Shelter Our Sisters, which is a shelter in West Milford. There's actually 7 across Passaic County, as well as Berkeley County. We actually raised $3,000 at our Ice Bowl this year to benefit that charity, as well as $1,000 in December, directly benefiting Shelter Our Sisters, which houses battered women and children across Passaic County, which I think is really important. So we do have a collective community around disc golf as well, and it does benefit the broader people. Just 2 other things. Disc golf is now a approved curriculum in schools. Kids learn it. It's something that anyone can get a $5 Frisbee and go in the woods and play. You don't have to have a $500 set of golf clubs. You don't have to have hundreds of thousands of dollars invested in a ball golf course. This is $20,000. I've heard numbers $5 million, $20 million that, you know, we entrust our freeholders to ensure that it's being spent correctly, but this is $20,000. I understand that, you know, trees are important to all of us, but I think this is really something from a cost-benefit ratio perspective. This will benefit many of our community members. Oh, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
My name is Tom Wolverton. My family lives at 28 Leslie Road, Little Falls. I've been at Rifle Camp Park since high school. Back then, we used to use a toboggan run. Now I understand that might be coming down, but times change. People didn't go out and bring the toboggans up there for the toboggan run before it was there because it wasn't built yet. Okay. Same thing with disc golf. We utilize spaces that are available. We try and we care, like Maureen said, very much about the environment. You won't find a better group of people that are more concerned about that. We really cherish the fact that when we do play that hour and a half and 2 hours, we are using our aerobic activity. We are getting our physical activity out of that. And for people my age and a little bit older, it doesn't cost a heck of a lot of money, and it's low impact on us as well as the environment. We just, 2 years ago, recently put in Middlesex County, Thompson Park, a beautiful disc golf course there. It has not had any negative impact at all on the environment. It has not affected any of the bird migration or anything else that Thompson Park is well known for. It basically utilized space that was not being utilized. It works parallel with our passive trails, our hiking trails over there, and there's many other courses. I think we're well over 30 courses in New Jersey that work side by side with existing hiking trails and environments. And the last thing that I just want to point out, again, because it was a relatively new course in at Thompson Park, it's next door to the Monroe High School. And the first thing we did when the course went in, those kids had part of their phys ed program, a disc golf practice baskets. We donated 50 discs to them, so now they come out and they actually use half the course as part of their PE program. Times change, but it's a great place. Rifle Camp Park's a beautiful park. I will continue to utilize it. I would love to see a disc golf course there, as well as tournaments. Thompson Park, we have 2 tournaments a year. They are permits issued. The rangers are there. They monitor parking. They monitor the crowds. Rarely will you see over 90 people. Break that into 3 or 4 people that commute for a day outing. That's not a lot of cars coming in and going in a big park environment. So obviously I'm very pro disc golf.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Mahler. I live at Salter Place in Bloomfield. I want to go to Freeholder question earlier about other counties and their feedback. Over the last 5 years, I've been part of a new course going in Morris Plains on the old Greystone Psychiatric Hospital site. The course has now been open for about 2.5 years. And we've had nothing but good response from not only the people using the park, but the county as well. Gets great feedback that there's a new activity out there. The traffic at the course now allows people to go out there by themselves and not be afraid. Just having other people in the park makes it a safer environment for everybody. We have a number of hikers and dog walkers and families out there that they will stop us as we play and ask us about the sport. And it's amazing that there have been quite a few people who, because the course was put in there, picked up the sport. They would have never tried it before. In fact, they found it in their backyard and they gave it a try. And there are a few who are hooked and are playing on a daily basis at this point. So again, I hope you consider everything in your decision, but I am too for this golf course in my opinion.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Adam Harris. I'm from Magnolia, New Jersey, down south. I was brought in by your Parks Department. I'm the course designer. Daryl specifically called me up and said, we need an experienced designer to come in. Told me the goals. He wanted recreational activity for children, for young people, as well as something that could bring in some traffic for tournaments and bring other people in to travel to see the beautiful park in your area. And spend some money while we're here. My background in course design, I've been playing since I was 18. First week of college, somebody took me out. Been hooked ever since. I've been volunteering in parks pretty much from the first day I picked up a disc. I started out as a Boy Scout camping, and I've been camping ever since. I love being outside. I've always worked on environmentalist education, where tree species, the impact we have, and what can and cannot happen out there. I walked with your forestry, every inch of the course, every tree. We picked out specific ones. I said, this one's got a hollow center, it's going to die, that's why this one's on the cut plan. It's 6 inches big, but you knock on it up to head height, it's dead hollow. I've spent almost 180 hours out there designing this course, specifically identifying which trees are in bad shape. They look healthy, you knock on them, they're hollow. You can stick your arm up inside far enough, it's going in the next couple of years. It's not a healthy tree. I worked really hard to pick out the unhealthy trees. Some areas, there's some laying down and dead that are falling on others. I'd like to take that out and clean it up a little bit. A little bit of the thinning we talked about with your forester. After talking with him, I went back and redesigned some of the holes, and we specifically found some of the densely crowded sapling areas. Let's just cut you asked what's a fairway look like? What does the course look like? 10 to 12 feet wide, maybe 30, 35 feet wide at its widest, and it's just a walking path. They'll go through the woods. I mean, it's not much wider than a walking trail in most areas. The entire course was designed environmentally responsible as I possibly could, based off of what the goals of your Parks Department were, what the goals of your forester was. And we literally sat down, and after we got everything done, Daryl gave me the master park plan for your engineers, and I found up this dog park, and I had to go back and redesign it again. The entire course was thought of. All of your future park plans, it's laid out around. It's not going to be impactful with walking trails. There's some concerns. I get it. I completely get it. I understand. Birds aren't going to get caught in cages. Never seen it. Been playing for a long time. Occasionally, a disc will fly out of control, nowhere near the fairway. I've designed the fairways with the worst possible shot in mind. You know, your ultimate beginner throwing it terribly the wrong way shouldn't really come in back.
3 minutes is up.
Okay, thank you very much. Do you have any questions?
Hi, everybody. My name is Marlene Gomez. I live at 222 Arlington Ave in Patterson. I come from a completely different standpoint here. I am your young person, kind of. Here's my question, okay? I'm a millennial living in Patterson, really urban area. Rifle Camp is the only place I can go because Garrett Mountain it's been redone and it's beautiful, but that's where I go for my quiet. But my question is, why disc golf? Like, if you ask anybody between the ages of 18 and 24 in this urban area what sports they want to play, I grew up as a soccer player. I played baseball, I played softball, I even picked up lacrosse at Passaic County Tech where I went to school. But there are so many sports that young people are dying to get out there and go play. I don't know if anybody has ever asked us. I'm sure disc golf is cool, but I'm just trying to think of a logical, like, if I'm on Facebook and I see new disc golf course opened up, most people my age are gonna scroll right past that. I want this park to be somewhere where people can go and see what I grew up seeing, the observatory and all the birds and walking around through the hiking before they put all those condos in. And I'd like that, but I just feel like there was no account for what people my age would have wanted to see there. Because there are people my age who are active and actually like the outdoors. There are people out there that do that. I'm not the only outlier here, but that's my only question. I just want to know if anybody took into account what young people wanted. Because soccer fields and basketball courts and all these things are a lot cheaper to make, I feel like, than a disc golf course. They did it in Pennington. They're doing it in Garrett Mountain. They're beautiful. So, thank you.
Hello, Fred Pfeiffer, Rifle Camp Road, West Patterson. I'd just like to make a point about fragmentation. Some of you might be aware of that from the Highlands. There was discussion about when you chop up forests. Now this is a small park, and these courses are going to be put throughout the park. It will chop it all up into small pieces. It will destroy it as far as habitat for birds. I've been bird watching in Garrett Mountain at Rifle Camp for 35 years. We've almost lost brown thrasher. I don't know if there's maybe two mating pairs left in the park. We're losing so much. There's a lot of things that weren't discussed. There's a lot of issues with different things like plants, like barberry, stiltgrass. These are all things that come in when you start getting rid of the understory. And we don't have a big problem with stilt grass right now at Rifle Camp, but Garrett is just being destroyed by it. There is one point I would like to ask. Like when Mr. Jordan was speaking, I never heard him talk about whether or not he talked to people that use the park. Now, I use the park often, and I made a point to go there and talk to hikers that I saw, and nobody was for this. Nobody. Nobody knew about it, and then nobody was for it. So I just think it'd be good to know what the community of West Patterson, Clifton, the people that use the park, what they think. That's what I have to say.
Good evening. My name is Gina DeRoche. I live on Garrett Mountain, 132 Forts Lane. As you may be able to tell, I am not a millennial. However, the reason I use the Passaic County parks is for the specific reason that when we go there, it is beautiful, it is quiet, we are able to be in nature without frisbees running around over our heads. And as the young lady, the millennial, said before, why a frisbee golf course of all the sports that we have in this country? Why that? You know, I understand that the freeholders want to expand the use of Rifle Camp Park, but since virtually nobody has heard of frisbee golf, how do you think that that's going to expand the use of the park in a positive way? I'd also like to point out, it's really fascinating to be up here and to have to lean over like this in order to be heard through the mic. It's a little embarrassing that the freeholders aren't able to get a microphone up here where we can actually stand upright. So that would be a request. The frisbee golf course may be a truly wonderful idea, not in our park. Thank you.
Being short. Ann Schneiderberg, 268 Washington Ave, Clifton, New Jersey.
For the record, ma'am, you don't have to bend over to be heard.
Okay. Hello? Okay, my 3 minutes start now, please? Okay. Unfair, wrong way, wrong place. I'm here tonight to ask you to shut down this Rifle Camp Park disc golf course proposal tonight. And if you persist, to invite scientists and Audubon experts to give PowerPoints at a proper public hearing. Your plan to install this course places it in a park that resides in the National Audubon Society designated Garrett Mountain State, IPA, important bird area that is also part of the U.S. Department of the Interior's National Park System's NNL National Natural Landmark, like the Palisades. So this 18 acres that you plan to urbanize with tree and underbrush removal has both state and national significance, and any of you who are elected Democrats are charged to protect it. This is a special resource and the only one of its kind in Lower Passaic County. Readings from the page 29 and 30 of the Democratic Party platform. Protecting our public lands and waters. Democrats believe in the conservation and collaborative stewardship of our shared natural heritage, the public lands and waterways, the oceans, Everglades, Great Lakes, and Arctic, and all that makes America's great outdoors priceless. Democrats oppose efforts to undermine the effectiveness of the Endangered Species Act to protect threatened and endangered species. Bad management. The disc golf course plan should never have been considered for placement in the IBA in the first place, and the fact that it's suddenly being shoved down our residents' throats is frankly outrageous. News of this plan was delivered to the public via county administrators meeting with people from a club in the woods, and I find the whole thing quite unprofessional. I'm not in a special club, and I had to find out about this through social media and the news, and I find your lack of clear and transparent process unconscionable. Do your job right, please, and do the right thing. End this inappropriate plan tonight. Protect our IBA. Fix a nature center so we don't have to travel to other counties for quality experience, and our kids don't have to spend money on field trips out of county. Put up signs about the IBA. Take your pictures in front of it. It's a jewel that you're not displaying properly. Birders and hikers are already walking in the forest, and those nest cavities are important to wildlife and should be labeled. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dina. I live in Scotch Plains in Union County. I came here today because I'm supporting the disc golf course here. I've actually never been here before.
Last name and your street address.
My name is Dina Napolitano. I live in 16 Langley Court in Scotch Plains. I've never been here before, so I'm really excited. I think this is one of the big things about supporting disc golf course here is that I can visit an area that I've never been to. I can explore the businesses, explore the county, and see what's around here. I'm also a millennial, and I discovered disc golf about 2 years ago. It was probably one of the best things that I've discovered. I'm out there 2 to 3 times a week. I play all the time. I've met the best people playing disc golf. They're the nicest people, the best community. I've heard so many stories from so many disc golfers, and it has changed so many people's lives. I think that if a lot of people see what disc golf is, they'll play it and they'll see how great it is, and maybe it can change their lives too. It's such an unknown sport with so much love. There's just such a huge community. You can check anywhere about it. Disc golf, I don't think will be an issue for anyone. Disc golfers always make sure that nothing is in their way. Make sure that no one's if an object or anybody is in the way, when we throw a disc, we make sure that we wait for them to pass by. Safety is definitely our #1 concern. It's just a sport that everyone with all skill levels can play, and you guys should play. It's one of the best sports. Thanks.
Seeing no one else at the podium, we'll move to close government.
Hi, I'm Chris Tackis. I'm president of Friends of Garrett Reservation, a board member of Bergen County Audubon. And just so you know, Bergen County Audubon is
I'm sorry, you didn't state your address.
720 Olive Street, New Jersey. Bergen County Audubon is the name of the National Audubon chapter that represents all the members in North Jersey. So we have members in Bergen County Audubon that reside in Clifton, Wayne, and all throughout the entire county. Bergen County Audubon does a lot of projects in Passaic County because that is the people we represent. I'm going to read a letter from President of Bergen County Audubon. It's dear Passaic County freeholders, Bergen County Audubon Society, and our over 2,000 members would like to voice our opposition to the proposed disc golf plan for Rifle Camp Park, the Rifle Camp Park section of Garrett Mountain Reservation. The proposed removal of 100 small trees will cause an interruption of the natural progression of mature to juvenile tree replacement. There will be a point in time where mature trees will be at the end of their life, and a number of juvenile trees to replace them will be limited. In addition, the removal of young trees and shrubs, in combination with the trampling of plants and paths between each disc golf station, would make this area more prone to erosion and flooding. In addition, the fragmenting of the habitat Tree removal will threaten many breeding birds that are threatened or endangered, like the wood thrush, whose numbers have been drastically reduced due to the loss of unbroken woodland habitat. Garrett Mountain Reservation is home to nesting owls, warblers, hawks, and migrating species of birds, as well as home to many smaller mammals who depend on cover, seed, and insects to survive and reproduce. The noise, disturbance, and impact on trees that an 18-hole disc golf development will create while building and in use will make the habitat inhabitable to many of the current species. We respectfully ask you to reconsider this decision. Please contact me if you would like to discuss this further. Thank you, Don Torino, President, Bergen County Audubon Society. I'd like to let everybody know that statement that was made about Ron Farr, the forester who went to Mawa, to their park, and observed no damage to trees. I can refute that. I have photos of damage to trees that occurred already this season. There are dents and stuff and cuts in the bark from trees. I believe that everybody needs to know that Ron Farr is the forester who is under contract with Passaic County. Another opinion that I want to offer is that we have Rifle Camp Park is a small, less than 200 acres. Thompson Park is 667 acres. Thompson Park has lots of open area and lots of area that was used for this. So,
Thank you, Mr. Thomas.
Thank you.
My name is Pete Both, Little Falls, and Jay.
You just need to state your street address, please.
I don't think he can hear you.
Sir,
And
your address for the record. Your address, your street address.
35 Shady Lane. Okay, I want to talk about veterans, myself included. I served 14 months in Korea and gunner sergeant. And a lot of veterans come to Rifle Camp Park to enjoy nature. And they like the peaceful environment. And I'm all for that too, because, you know, we're together. And I want to talk about breeding birds, which in the park are down in numbers because of a lot of activities. And people just go everywhere, and it's affecting wildlife. And almost everyone I know in the park is definitely for nature and not, this golf is completely out of this target. Thank you.
I make a motion to adjourn. I'm aware the rest of the meeting is very long. I'm aware we can move straight on that portion. I don't want anybody who came here today to think that we weren't listening or haven't heard what you had to say. It has been remarkable, the response that we've had. Online petitions both for and against, folks coming out on multiple occasions. I appreciate the commitment on both sides. I appreciated the chance to get educated tonight by staff and every night you folks come here. I don't want you to think that we're ignoring what you have to say. Concerns I personally am looking very carefully and with concern about. Thank you all for coming here. I wanted to make one clarification related to one of the things that was said during the public portion, and that is with respect to Friends of Passaic County Park, all of that organization's minutes, government filings, roster of members, other documents are all on the county's website for anybody who wants to look for them. And I just wanted to make that clear while we're still having our meeting. And with that, unless anybody else, I'm happy to move to adjourn.
Freeholder Bartlett.
That's for a second.
Motion, Bartlett and Apter.
Freeholders, Apter. Yes. Bartlett. Yes. Best. Yes. Duffy. Yes. Moore. Yes. Rifle Lazara.
Yes. Thank you.